This is the Norris Group's Real Estate Investor Radio Show, the award-winning show dedicated to thought leaders shaping the real estate industry and local experts revealing their insider tips to succeed in an ever-changing real estate market. Hosted by author, investor, and hard money lender, Bruce Norris.
Hey everybody, it's Aaron Norris with the Norris Group, and today we've got our second show with Steve Basten. He works at John Burns Real Estate Consulting, has lots of background in design and construction, and let's pick up where we left off. We've covered a lot on demographics and some of the fun trends when it comes to living situations, but I'm fascinated by design. I remember growing up rehabbing my dad's houses, and it didn't matter what the outside looked like. It was the same carpet, laminate, flooring, even down to the paint. It was white with a medium blue trim. What was good for our house was good for everybody else's. And now I've watched my brother really take the business to an entirely new level. And, he would match the paint color to the roof. Has HGTV just completely ruined expectation when it comes to the consumer?
Oh boy, I don't think I'd necessarily say HGTV has ruined it. I believe it's changed it. I totally believe that HGTV has forever changed how consumers approach remodels. You look at the level of programming now that focuses on remodeling and Fixer Upper and all these shows, and our research shows that a younger buyer is definitely willing to take on more remodels, and we see more households remodeling versus moving up. That's something that our research is showing. They're staying in their homes longer. This is a nice stat for you. Household mobility is roughly half of what it was 25 to 30 years ago. So certainly people are sticking in their homes longer. They're choosing to take on more remodels. They're sometimes doing it themselves, but that definitely varies by demographics. So younger generations definitely more inclined to do it themselves. Boomers more inclined to hire a pro. That kind of leads into another driver of just shortage of labor. This is such a fascinating thing, just the amount of remodeling activity that's going on. And this is really where myself and my boss Todd Tomlik focus a lot of our time on. Fixer Upper, that has changed the culture of what goes, what type of programming is on TV. Certainly there is an expectation, I think, that I can get everything for certain costs. There's probably skepticism of, boy, does that remodel really only cost $80,000 or is it $180,000?
What do you mean it's not including labor?
Yeah, well, that and it so varies by region, and that's where my boss and I spend a lot of our time is looking at labor cost by region. A remodel in Minnesota or Wisconsin is going to be more than a remodel down south. You need to use materials that will stand up to weather, that will provide strong insulation of the home. The labor is more up here. So there's certainly a lot of factors that determine how much a remodel costs. But yeah, I think in general, there might be a little elevation of expectations versus what you can actually get. But I certainly wouldn't say that HGTV has ruined anything. I just think it's changed it. I think it's changed it for the better. I mean, people are inspired to take on, projects themselves and to use YouTube as inspiration to do things themselves. It's just really a great thing.
Yeah, it's no longer just about shelter. It's beauty and decor, and I'm just fascinated by the level of design that's expected. I just finished a rehab, and I ended up spending a lot more, but I got more than I was expecting, and it prays too. So I was happy that I decided to do some extra things. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk too much about green, but it sort of ties into the rehabilitation side as well. Is there any data suggesting that consumers are really leaning towards that, especially as we're in a recovery? When you're in a down market and your comparison is an REO, it's just really hard to put in things like energy efficient windows and insulation and solar and all that kind of stuff. But like here in California, new builders have to. So any thoughts on sort of the green movement?
Yeah, that's another great question. This varies greatly by market, so certainly, I can speak to, the Midwest. I'm from here. There are a lot of tax credits for windows. So, there is incentive to replace windows that are Energy Star. They aren't, life-changing tax credits by any means, but I think in general there is a shift to being more sustainable. Again, it differs by demographic. There's the younger demographics tend to value it more. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have the income, the real wages, the savings rate to always, invest in solar or, higher energy efficient windows. But I think they're more inclined. Our research shows that they're more willing to to spend on features that are more green and sustainable. But I don't think this is going away. I think you look at just, if you take a real step back, just outside of the construction industry, the whole world is trending towards more sustainability. Tesla's Powerwall is the alternative to, gas or diesel powered, standby power generation. So really the world is trending towards sustainable solutions. And I certainly see some of that in residential construction as well.
This leads into smart homes. I'm fascinated by them, but scared at the same time. Do you get a sense that perhaps innovation is outpacing regulation when it comes to technology in the house?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I think innovation always outpaces regulation. Sure, something doesn't exist, you can't regulate it. Nobody wants their apps on their phone regulated. I don't think that's something that's very prolific. But I don't see a lot of these products either really requiring a lot of regulation. Like, let's just take an example. Home security systems have been around a long time. They haven't necessarily been significantly regulated. So I don't know that, the new version of that, an IoT connected, smart home security system is necessarily going to require regulation. It's a better version of what's already existed. Everyone remembers those, those telecoms, in our parents' houses, those panels. The new versions of those, they're just better versions. You can ask Alexa to talk to somebody in another room, versus having to go over to the intercom and press a button and reach, your mother that's upstairs. So I don't see there being a ton of regulation. But yeah, I certainly think innovation is always going to outpace it.
IoT is the Internet of Things. It's basically just describing a smart home. So you've got everything from those devices that really have only been around a little over a year. It was only at Christmas time in 2016 that Amazon released the, I think it was the Dot at the time, and since then has released several different versions with cameras, the Amazon Look and the Dot. It's all over. But now we've got smart refrigerators, smart phones, smart TVs, smart ovens. It's crazy. Are consumers driving this demand?
I think so. I think consumers definitely do drive some of that demand. Everybody has a smartphone. Almost everybody has a smartphone, right? So, there's definitely desire for products that make your life simpler, that give you more time in the day to do things you want to do. I do want to highlight, though, because I think it is a misconception, across the industry. A lot of these smart products have existed for a very long time. You look at, digital shower valves that you can program and have your shower turn on a certain time of day at a certain temperature. All these, very tech-oriented features. These have been around for 10 years. Some of this stuff's been around from 2006.
That's true.
But, the thing is, what's been the driver of smart home is IoT is definitely that engine. The Internet of Things has allowed for all these products to speak to each other. They can all speak to Alexa. So Alexa is that central hub, or a similar platform is a central hub where you can control all of these different smart products through one platform. There has been smart refrigerators. There's been, programmable, HVAC systems, Nest, all these things have been around for a while. Kohler's had a really cool product, DTP, for many years. But the engine that's driving the smart home is this central platform where you control everything from one area. You don't have to have 10 apps on your phone. You just have to speak to Alexa. What Alexa has done in these other central platforms, these tech assistants, is they've made the user experience a very seamless one.
The smart technology has been around for a while. Internet of Things, connecting it all together. I was probably one of the first people to buy the Philips Hue LED smart light bulbs because I thought it was really cool to be able to turn lights red. I used it once. I'm like, why did I spend $99 on a light bulb that could change color in the family room? I have not done it since. Yeah. It's hilarious. But the Zero Interface, I got to interview the National Association of Realtors, their team over there that deals with tech, and I hadn't heard of that term, the Zero Interface, but that's dealing with Alexa. You're in the kitchen, say, Alexa, how do I make, couscous? I don't know. And she's describing, there's going to be a TV on your refrigerator. So not only will Alexa be able to talk to you, she's going to find you a video that shows you exactly what to do and what it looks like. I'm just interested as a consumer, even with IoT, if I'll use it, and especially as I'm rehabbing homes, how far do I go in it? So are you seeing any specific smart technology that is a must, at least in new construction, and that maybe rehabbers should consider taking a look at?
I think it's a little early to tell. I'll just start with that. Especially with new construction, I think we're just really figuring out what consumers are willing to pay for and what they're not willing to pay for. I can give you, one tidbit. So we do a very large survey of new buyers, new homeowners that are in the funnel, in the purchase process for a new home. And we know that they're more inclined to spend on tech features, whether that is a smart refrigerator that can order groceries from Alexa or from the refrigerator, then they would be willing to spend on brands. So here's a couple stats for you. And I actually wrote an article on this that was featured on our website and went out to distribution to our clients. But younger buyers, the 1980s, 1990s, shares and connectors in specific, are willing to spend an extra $3,500 for a refrigerator with built-in food management for grocery orders than the average home buyer. But that also comes kind of at a trade-off. They're less willing to spend on name brands. The 1930s, 1940s savers and achievers, they're way more inclined to spend on name brands than the newer generations. Part of that is just, they value the quality of the name brand, the longevity, warranty, all those things. I mean, there's just different value propositions to features versus brands. So
that's so interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought, especially when it came to technology, you would want a major brand, if nothing else, for security, and they have enough money if something were to happen to back you up.
We didn't phrase the question as this tech fridge is private label. It's not. It's unbranded. That wasn't the question.
Okay.
It was you're willing to spend more on a refrigerator. We force ranked them to answer what they were willing to trade up on.
Oh, okay.
And they weren't willing to trade up on, say, name brand designer tile or maybe a name brand sink or something. But they were willing to trade up on technology. So if that adds clarity, that's really what this was getting at. But yeah, I mean, think about our parents' generations and our grandparents' generations. I mean, they associated high quality products with name brands. I mean, a lot of these companies have been around 150 years. Think Kohler, think Toro, even DuPont. These are household names. People are willing to trust them. They've been around a long time. They're not going anywhere. That's something that our parents' generations and their parents really value. There are differences in what home buyers should be, or what new home builders should be putting in their homes to attract, their target buyer. And they vary by demographic.
Well, one of the reasons I reached out to you specifically was a report that you produced about 6 major design trends in 2018. So we've covered the Internet of Things connectivity. Before I leave that, is there any product that you just think is so cool that's going to be huge in the next few years?
Oh, there's so many. I really think these smart kitchen appliances are cool. I definitely value, the attention to detail and the attention to quality control. So like a refrigerator that's, really going to keep your vegetables and fruits and all those things, they're going to provide longevity and they won't go bad. There's just so much innovation that's gone into, and engineering that's gone into building the perfect refrigerator that's really going to keep your dairy where it's supposed to be and your meats where it's supposed to be, all different temperatures, zoning controls in one fridge. It's crazy. And I'm a healthy guy. I like to work out. I like to eat right. And to me, that's something that I really value. So I definitely am more inclined to buy something that keeps that stuff fresher longer. I don't take a lot of baths, but I do want products that can save me time in the day. So anything that's going to cut out kind of a monotonous task, I'm definitely inclined to spend money on. So that's my personal opinion. I don't have this is going to be the one that's around forever, but certainly there's some companies that are leading the space that are providing very holistic solutions. They're not just giving you one-off, product that's connected to the home, to the smart home. They're giving you a suite of products so that everything works and speaks together, which is pretty cool.
Okay. You have a major category called labor efficiency, which I think real estate investors should definitely pay attention to, but you want to describe that?
Yeah, to me, this is a huge trend. It's not new by any means. I mean, let's really look back at the last 20, 30 years. Building product manufacturers have been taking labor out of installation for a very long time. 20 years ago, a faucet came in 20 pieces, and your plumber had to sit there and assemble everything. You had to attach the handle trim to the valves, all the screws, the supply lines, the rough plumbing. All that stuff was very labor intensive. It was all in parts and pieces. But now faucets come pre-assembled. They come in the box. I mean, you could install them yourselves. These supply lines hook right up in your rough plumbing. There's not a lot of labor involved. I'll just leave it at that. And you look at companies, and even like new construction that are really innovative. I mean, Huber Engineered Woods, great company. They're developing, systems that have panels with pre-installed insulation at different thicknesses for different climates. And, their zip system, is a great way to just save a lot of, labor for house wrap. So, there's just a lot of innovation going surrounding just engineered products and labor efficiency, and really taking that labor out of the equation to make the install a lot quicker. Tile's pretty labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 10 years or so, you've seen a lot of things come on mesh sheets, so you can just put tile up and you have 5 sheets and it's done versus, individual pieces. So this isn't new, but everybody's focusing on it. They're coming up with better, more efficient versions of what they already have or what they've already innovated around. So it's a very cool thing. They're trying to solve the labor crisis. They really are. And I commend a lot of building product manufacturers for doing that.
Yeah, especially with 3 hurricanes and, the big fires. I mean, we were already having, before all those happened, labor, especially skilled labor on specific trades. It's just hard to find. So I agree. I think real estate investors pay attention, because you might not have to need skilled labor because of some of the way these things are engineered. And that leads perfectly into your engineered products section. Do you think when it comes to engineered products that consumers are less, like on the rehab I just did, I put in a PVC floor that was more durable than, probably a hardwood floor over the long term, water resistant. It looked amazing. Do you think the average consumer is totally open now and understand the benefits compared to maybe like a raw wood floor?
It definitely depends, again, on demographic. What are these demographics really placing value on? But I think in general, a trend has been towards expectations. So, for example, consumers just want to see what they get. If they see something online or they see something in a catalog, they want to make sure that that's what they're getting. So really, what are the natural categories that have been able to really engineer products to meet those expectations? Countertops. Countertops, engineered quartz, engineered stone. This is a product set that is really proliferated and penetrated the channel. In the past, you'd have to go to a stone yard and pick out a slab of marble or a slab of granite or a slab of soapstone, and you might not, you might have to go to 3, slab yards to find the exact one you want. And even then, it's hard to visualize what it's going to look like when it's installed because of all the cutting and the fabrication, and it has to go around a sink, all that stuff. But now, there's all these designs that you see them online, and these are factory made products. This is exactly what it's going to look like. So, that veining on the right-hand corner is going to be on the right-hand corner of your island because that's exactly how it's printed. So, it's just really fascinating how, building product manufacturers have been able to design really high quality products that are very comparable to their natural counterparts, and honestly at very similar price points. They're competitive, so it's a cool thing. These products usually require less maintenance. You don't have to seal them or maintain them as often as their natural counterparts. So there's a lot of value proposition to the consumer when you look at engineered products.
And a lot of times they can be less expensive or on par, which is nice. So number 4 in the things that you bring up is black finishes. So black is back, huh?
Black finishes have been I wrote the recap, of our trip to International Builder Show, the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show. And, there's been a lot of companies that have been rolling out more black finishes in recent years. But this year, it was just clearly apparent that black is here to stay. There wasn't a building manufacturer out there that didn't have hardware or plumbing or appliances fully displayed in black. There was very little stainless, mostly black finishes. My personal opinion is I think, the matte black finish is something that's going to really become the new kind of brushed nickel, brushed stainless. It is trendier. I think I had a comment, yesterday of, I just got done replacing my black appliances, and now they're back. To me, I go, I think they're different products, though. I mean, a glossy black is much different than like a black stainless. Black stainless is is a little more tempoed down. It's a little moodier. It just goes with more color, more finishes. So I think black is here. It's definitely here to stay. There've been huge investments, all in new faucet lines and door hardware and appliances are coming out in black. So I definitely think it's going to be around for a little bit. Tough to say, how long the trend will last. I think the typical life cycle of a trend is, at least 7 years, but we'll see. So yeah, it's really interesting, but clearly, the consumer loves it. You look at HGTV, Dream Home, and all these kind of, very in your face, consumer facing things. They all have black faucets, hardware finishes, black doors, black windows. So it's very hot right now.
I painted my doors black, my downstairs doors from white to black, and it looks absolutely amazing. So I'm very on trend right now. So I'm very excited.
My parents just replaced all the windows in their house and they're black. So yeah, it's interesting.
Let's end on simplified customization, because I think we see a lot of rehab shows that do this. Maybe it's not the entire things, but it's describe it. I'll let you describe it. What does simplified customization mean?
I think simplified customization is just getting that custom look and feel just in a very simplified manner. I mean, the process to get a real custom look was historically very labor intensive. You had to often hire an interior designer. He or she would have to go out and spec different finishes from different vendors. It was just labor intensive. It was expensive. It wasn't easy. Consumers half the time didn't know all the channels that had to be worked through to get, a custom panel made for your refrigerator. But now manufacturers are offering these options like in their standard upgrade options. So it's very consumer friendly. You can go in and pick your door hardware, the color, all these things. It's a very user friendly experience. I wouldn't say it takes the interior designer out of the equation, but it does empower, a design forward or maybe, very discerning, consumer to do that themselves. So yeah, it's really simplifying the whole process. I went to the show and I saw some just really cool products. Kohler had launched a mix and match handle, a very modern kind of contemporary faucet line where you could pick a handle, pick your spout, 5, 6 different finishes. Just really cool, and it just allows a consumer to personalize their space, and they don't have to go out and try to figure out, boy, I want this like custom look, but nobody has it on the market, so maybe I have to commission something made to order. How expensive is that going to be? It just really, really makes it this a user-friendly, simple equation.
Yeah, I see a lot of real estate investors, especially along the coast and higher end markets, just really get into some stunning design, and it's not necessarily things that have to cost a lot of money. It's just those extra special touches that makes you go, wow, I never would have thought of it. And it's more like art. All of a sudden, it's just these little touches, whether it's a really cool light fixture. And again, it doesn't always have to cost a lot of money. You could go to a local thrift store and repurpose something that has a classic design, maybe paint it, look cool, or, the backsplash. Maybe there's just something cool that you find at your local Habitat for Humanity restore. There's so many opportunities to do these little light touches that add to the value just because it's more beautiful. And I just think we're in the HDTV generation.
That is a great point too. I mean, people are looking for personalization. We did a lot of consumer research in my last company, and there's certainly desire for repurposing, and people just want the space to be truly theirs, truly personal. Whether that's picking out things from your parents' house, like, oh, it looked dated in their house, but it might look new in mine. So it's just really cool how consumers are really focusing in on what makes the space theirs.
Agreed. Well, we've run out of time. I really appreciate your time because this was a last-minute interview. But if they want to, if they are not currently on your email list because it came out this week, how can they download the report that you put together?
Yeah, that's a great point, Aaron. We're happy to give you a link to, that you can post on your website.
Okay, I'll do that.
If not, realestateconsulting.com. That's our website. So, John Burns, the firm, really great coverage of the housing industry from new construction or repair and remodel to design. We have a product design lens that focuses specifically on design trends in new construction. Just a lot of great resources and insights here. So, yeah, please feel free to post a link to